I come from a culture where, because of the influence of Islam, dance is not highly regarded. Islam sees dance as a sinful practice that takes you away from the straight path to God, so to speak. So even though I come from a lineage of performing artists, as you mentioned, my father is a very famous, legendary filmmaker, theater director, actor, and writer. Um, my parents, though they were not religious and they are not religious, didn't see that, oh, this person who loves to dance should be trained in dance, because of the mindset that people have had regarding dance. So I trained myself.
Hi, I'm Carol Saunders, host of the Spiritual Forum, where I have extraordinary conversations exploring the vast realms of spiritual living. If you're on a healing, learning, awakening, or intertransformational journey, this podcast will support you. The personal stories, wisdom, and insight shared here will inspire you and give you hope. Step into your divine nature and welcome to the forum. Welcome, everyone, to the Spiritual Forum. I'm so glad to be with you again today. My guest is Banafsheh Sayyad. She's a master sacred dancer, choreographer, and visionary teacher of spiritual embodiment who is devoted to helping people activate greater health, awareness, and resilience through conscious movement. Internationally acclaimed for her pioneering fusion of spirituality and sensuality, she is the founder of Dance of Oneness, a divine feminine lineage of healing and transformation, uniting Sufi whirling, Persian dance, flamenco, mysticism, and Taoist wisdom. Born in Iran to legendary filmmaker Parviz Sayyad, she defied cultural taboos to create a feminine expression of Sufi whirling, transforming dance into a pathway of liberation, divine communion, and activism. Welcome, Banafsheh.
Thank you so much. So wonderful to be with you here today.
It's wonderful to be here with you too. I haven't had anyone on for a while who was a dancer and who was really about embodiment. So I think this is going to be good for us today. I know it's a very important part of our spiritual expression and our experience of living on this planet. So you'll be able to kind of help us out with that today. But I know you have a really interesting story of exile from Iran. And I was hoping that you might share that with us, particularly given how much interest there is in Iran today.
Yes, absolutely. So I was born in Iran. I live these days in the mountains of Southern California in Topanga, on the lands of the Tongva people, whom I honor and salute. Uh, I was born, as I said, in Iran and grew up there. For as long as I can remember, I've had two passions, one for dance and one for uncovering the mystery of being alive. S- Passion for spirit. Who is this divine energy? What is this divine energy that I feel so strongly but cannot pinpoint? Over time, these two passions fused together, and dance became my way of communing with spirit, and also to be a vehicle of expressing the presence of spirit in the world. But on this way through, to on this way to the fusion, on the way, the path to bringing these two together, I confronted many, many difficulties. One of them, the main one, being that I come from a culture where, because of the influence of Islam, dance is not highly regarded. Islam sees dance as a sinful practice that takes you away from the straight path to God, so to speak. So even though I come from a lineage of performing artists, as you mentioned, my father is a very famous, legendary filmmaker, theater director, actor, and writer. Um, my parents, though they were not religious and they are not religious, didn't see that, oh, this person who loves to dance should be trained in dance because of the mindset that people have had regarding dance. So I trained myself. I basically put myself through a regimen that I had never studied with anyone. I hadn't learned it. It just kind of emerged from me, feeling that there are things that I want my body to be able to do to express what I felt. So I had this very strict regimen for myself that I did all the time, and I created dances with friends, and we would perform them for our families. And but all of that didn't, indicate to my parents that, oh, maybe she should be trained. But when we left and we had to leave my homeland because of the revolution that happened, because of the Islamic takeover, we had to leave, and we became political asylees in the United States, which was quite a blessing. And then here in the United States, I felt free to pursue my passion. And even though I pursued, even though I felt the freedom to pursue my passion, it still met with a lot of resistance from my family and from my relatives in Iran, who thought, oh, I was bringing shame to the family because this is a sinful practice, even though none of them are really religious. It's just sort of in the unconscious of the culture. Uh, and I fought against the resistance, and I pursued my passion anyway, feeling that I'm not here to, live the life that others think I should live, but I'm here to pursue what I love. And so I went ahead and studied dance. I have an MFA in dance and choreography. I wanted to legitimize Persian dance in the world because it's a form that people don't know much about, and part of that, the main reason, is because of Islam and how it wasn't able to flourish and have and codify a language like ballet, for example. So I pursued dance and made a career out of dance, toured internationally, and when my relatives and my family and my relatives, when they saw the dance that I was doing, then they really embraced me, because nobody really could understand what I was saying when I was declaring that this was going to be my career, because nobody in my culture had really done that. No woman had really forged a career uh, in dance, in Persian dance, definitely. There were ballerinas over time before the Islamic takeover of 1979 who had careers in dance, but they were presenting a Western form, ballet. So people didn't know what I was talking about. That I had, when I would say I want to create dances that are spiritual and mythic, they just were at a loss of, like, what is that? We don't even get that. So once they saw the performances, once they saw the offering, then they understood and they embraced me. And I can say that because I took this chance, because I took this risk and went ahead and followed my passion, that it has really impacted how dance is seen in my culture. It's much more, along with others who then also followed their passion and pursued dance in on a higher educational level, and also touring the world. Uh, we have been able to really put Persian dance on the map in a way, and also to create a sense in our culture that dance is a high form of art. And over time, a third passion emerged for me to help people really embody themselves through dance. And this is what I do. It's called Dance of Oneness, the modality that I've created. And I have been teaching that as well internationally. Uh, e- Everywhere really that has been open to me, except for my homeland, Iran, that still women's dancing in public is prohibited. And people struggle for their freedom, especially these days. They're
Mhm.
much more vocal. You know, we're amidst the revolution that started in the last days of 2025, and it has, taken a very tragic turn where
Mhm.
thousands have been massacred and imprisoned, maimed, and yet people continue to show up and fight, risking all they have because there's no turning back, and because the freedom and dignity of a whole nation is on the line. And I don't know if you know, but dance has been a very central mode of expression for people to show their not what they're fighting against, but what they're fighting for, which is very beautiful.
Wow, there's so much in that. Ah, and my heart really goes out for the people of Iran. I'm gonna say it again, Iran. I'm gonna try to do it better to honor to honor the right pronunciation. Do you have family back there that you're concerned about?
Yes, absolutely. I have my family there, but I also feel that the whole of the nation is my family. So I don't know if you know, or if your listeners know, but the upward of 36,000 people who we know have been massacred um, have been under the age of 30 mostly.
Mm.
And this includes
Oh my.
children. This includes children. So I feel like these are my children. These are my brothers and sisters. Um, so yes, my heart is
Yeah, the
broken.
fear of the freedom of the human spirit is interesting to watch and so tragic. Whoops, I lost you.
Thank you.
There you are. Yeah, this need to squelch the unfettered freedom that we were created to be is just so sad and, obviously fear-based. I feel that dance is something that is it's like a divine gift that you've been given. We each have different divine gifts, but you obviously had this implanted in you, I think, since you were a child. I know you said your family's not religious, but do you have a sense of that? Like a sense of that this is a divine gift? This is this is something that I've been given and I can't help but express it. And I'm here to do that and to help others as well.
I absolutely felt that way. That's why, the resistances that I encountered, there was absolutely nobody except for my younger sister who supported my, really making a career in dance. Even though I met with that resistance, I knew in my heart that this is what I needed to do. And in the beginning, I felt it absolutely was a divine gift. Um, but later it became very clear to me that it was a gift from the divine feminine specifically, as so much of my work has been shaped by my relationship with the divine feminine and the transmissions I received from her. And so I felt supported by an invisible force, even though what was
Mm.
around me did not, show any support, for sure.
Do you have any sense of the history of Sufi dancing? Because it is the mystical tradition of Islam, I thought, and so it was something that was okay at some time. Am I missing that?
Thank you for bringing that up because I would like to clarify a few things, and that is, yes, so prevalently it is understood as the mystical essence of Islam, but it really is older than Islam. You can trace its root. I actually feel in my heart, and I've also researched this, you can really trace it back to the divine feminine traditions, And why do I say that? That it expresses echoes of that tradition, and it's almost like a retelling of that tradition, just like the Taoist tradition is similar, in that it really emphasizes the feminine capacities of receptivity, listening, remembrance, and dance. Dance has, throughout time, and originally been how people showed their relationship to the greater. They expressed it through dance, and specifically the traditions that are related to the divine feminine. It was through dance that people felt they were communing with the energy of the goddess, but also expressing the energy. So the Sufi tradition is a thread back to that tradition, I feel. But it really moves through different uh, paths, especially the Mithraic path, which is the ancient Persian tradition, Iranian tradition, and it acquires also from Judaism, Christianity, Manichaeism, and also Islam. The language shift throughout time to become what it is today. And you can say, in a way, that actually Islam comes out of Sufism, and
Mm.
it gives Islam a heart, if you will, for those who have that more Islamic um, view to Sufism, or they are more Islamic in their practice. But it very much is a universal tradition. It's the path of the heart. And because it's hybrid, it's drawing from all the traditions I just mentioned. It's also inclusive of different differences. It embraces whoever is called or longs to follow the path of the heart and live love in the world.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because then the need to squelch the dance or to consider it that it is a sin or something that is against God, how anti-God that is. You know, it really is a defiant squelching of the heart, like, "I'm going to stomp out the heart," which you cannot do. So the dancer will always end up prevailing, but there
Yes.
may be great suffering. Yeah.
Yes, and this is one of the gifts of dance. It brings to us a capacity where we can feel we are unstoppable, that there is nothing that can kill my spirit, because it really puts us in touch with that energy of being infinite, being greater than whatever challenge you're facing.
Ah, it's beautiful. I've seen some of your videos. It is beautiful. So how do we bring this then? How do you bring this to just the regular person on the street? Do you feel that everybody could be enhanced, like their spiritual life would be enhanced by entering this realm of dance?
Absolutely. Spiritual life and physical life, because dance operates on different levels, and it is universal, just like music. It's a universal language that can touch anybody's heart, regardless of what culture you're from. When the music moves you, you move. So I love that about dance, the inclusivity of it, the way everyone's invited. And you're also invited to approach it in however way you want. If it's just physical movement, great. If it's a way to connect body and soul, even greater. So it is for everyone, really. That's the beauty of dance. It's a gift.
What do you think about the idea when people say, "I just can't dance. I can't dance."
I always get
What
this
is that?
question. I always get this question in interviews, because it comes up, right? There's that self-conscious dimension that arises, but very quickly passes away. Really, sometimes people say to me, "Oh, I can't come to your class because I can't dance." So my first response is, "That's exactly why you should come then, to
Right.
learn." But then they say, "Oh, but I'm shy. What if, people are gonna look at me." And that rarely happens because everyone's sort of in their own space and moving to open up their own blockages or release what they need to release. So nobody's really looking at anybody else. And then when there are opportunities to dance together, it's never a judging moment. It's a sharing, it's a shared moment where people are just supporting you and making this celebratory environment.
It's so interesting that we go to judgment and fear of being judged when, if you put a bunch of toddlers in a room and threw on some music, like, what are they going to do? They're going to start moving and playing with it. It's so natural.
Absolutely. And I see that people really, you might come in with an idea of like, I'm shy and, I don't want others to judge me, but it falls away so quickly once you hear the music and it moves you. Then before you know it, you've just stepped out of those actions and you're just enjoying yourself.
When there's something else, though, I'd like to talk about embodiment because uh, what is that, or how do you define it? And because I think embodiment is also a spiritual practice. I think we're kind of way out there, and our hearts and minds are like out there, and so this is really a practice that brings like this ourselves back into our body. And what how do you see that the benefit of that?
Yeah, you touched upon something so important. You know, what we have inherited from thousands of years of patriarchal worldview is this idea that the mind is superior to the body and the
Mhm.
soul is pure compared to the body. Both of these things sort of lift the energy upward, and we're either in our heads or we're not here at all, right? So the invitation to come back to the body, to sense the ground with your feet and to let your energy descend, honoring the descending of energy as much as the ascent. If you even look at if you observe the English language, for example, everything that alludes to higher is considered better. So we
Mhm.
say higher, upper versus lower. Uh, all of these languages, superior, inferior. So there's this bias toward the lower, the descent, the ground. And as I said, this patriarchal worldview that has asserted that the mind is superior to the body and the soul to the body also has taught us that the earth is something that is dirty and we need to transcend it. We need to free ourselves from it, all of which really make no sense when you dwell just even a little bit on them. How can that be possible? That creation would have hierarchy in terms of, oh, the earth is impure, oh, the body is impure. Then why has it been created? Why does it
Mhm.
exist? So
Mhm. Mhm.
embodiment invites us to make peace again with the body as sacred, make peace with the earth as sacred, the earth as our home, the body as our home, all of which we've been taught to try to transcend. Somehow we're from a purer place and we're going to end up there. All of these mindsets that have led to the experience we have today of real disassociation from the earth and from the body. We rarely know much about the inner functioning of our body. And when the body breaks down, when there's disease, when there's illness, we want a doctor to fix it, whereas we have healing capacities that
Mhm.
our educational system over the centuries has not been a way where, okay, so a child should learn about how the body works. Where are your organs? It shouldn't be something that only people who study medicine turn to. You see? So,
Absolutely.
but
Absolutely, and, we don't listen to our body. We don't trust our body. We trust something outside of us to fix our body,
Yeah.
and we don't feel like we can heal ourselves,
Yeah.
and so we've lost that confidence in this amazing vessel,
Yes.
and so kind of no wonder, like you mentioned, no wonder there's so much disconnection, not only from us and our body, but from each other and from the earth. So so this this whole practice of embodiment is something that really needs to come back into, like, even, like, preschool curriculum.
Yes. Yes. I spend time in my beginner level workshops in helping people walk with more awareness, and so with a vertical posture, and understand that the body is a channel, that the invitation is to maintain your verticality in a relaxed way, not rigid, but to remember you're a bridge, you're a channel. And most people start to cry and saying, nobody taught me this, and how little kids should be taught this. And I absolutely agree. From very early, educational experiences, to be taught that the body is sacred, that this is your soul's expression, not something to transcend, not something that's a burden, not something that is the cage of the soul that so many mystics unfortunately have said over time.
Yeah.
It's definitely challenging. It's one of the most challenging experiences of our soul to be in physicality. And that's why you also hear mystics, amazing mystics, say this is the dimension where the soul it becomes enlightened on all levels, on all dimensions, in physicality, because it's challenging, and it's easy to want to transcend. It's easier, much easier.
Yes, yeah. I think it's interesting to look at all of the religions that have had some extreme form that's all about negating the body, that the body is bad and something to escape from. And it just seems like it's really rooted in something that's, fear, like, what if I embodied my body? What would happen then? What sensations might take me over? You know, it might seem like I then don't have control, which is really, I don't think the divine really is all about you having control. It's really about allowing the flow of all of the energy through you.
Yeah, when you start to embody yourself, you tap into a great capacity, as opposed to, oh, the body is limited. You tap into a power that is actually not controllable by these religious systems. And dance puts us in touch with that. You begin to feel how the human being is unstoppable, uncontrollable, which is not what most of these religious systems want us to know and believe, because they prefer us to be followers, sheep like, passive. Tell me about the divine. Guide me to the divine. Whereas each and every one of us has that connection, because we are the divine embodied.
We are. You live in Los Angeles, and I think the other aspect of embodiment is that somehow our culture also becomes obsessed with physicality, which I think is different from embodiment.
Yeah.
But I mentioned Los Angeles because that's kind of the plastic surgery capital of the world, and beauty, and what it all, and aging, and anti-aging, all that comes up on my Facebook feed. All this anti-aging stuff. It's like they know how old you were, and they're gonna come at you and tell you that there's something wrong with you. We can fix you. What do you have to say about that part of it? Because that's different than embodiment. That's a fixation on appearance.
I love that you brought that up. So the flip side of being disembodied and wanting to transcend the body, the flip side of that, the flip side of the coin, so to speak, is exactly this fixation with physicality devoid of the connection with spirit. So embodiment is understanding that you're a soul in a body. And over time, soul and body become fused as one. So the fixation on physicality and anti-aging and approaching being eternal, so to speak, from a physical point of view, from the physical portal, is the denial of spirit. That
Mhm.
oh, I'm going to become eternal physically. Well, that's really again a disconnect. It's a disconnect from soul. It's disconnect from how we're actually energy, mostly energy, 99.9%, so on, energy, and the approach to being forever young, so to speak, is to tune into the soul, is to tune into the heart, and become more loving, become more of an embodiment of love. That's what makes us ageless, not these gadgets and these, pulling the face up. It's love that makes us ageless. As Rumi says, your beauty is the love that is expressed through you. It's not a physical thing on its own.
I love Rumi. He's the best. So, what would you tell somebody who's listening now and maybe they're not in Los Angeles and maybe they're not inclined to well, I don't know. Let's just open it up. What would you tell somebody right now who's listening? What steps would they want to take if they're interested in dabbling in this a little bit?
You mean to dance with me and experience dance for oneness, or what?
Or just,
Just dance
just
in general?
start to work on embodiment and maybe experiment a little bit with dance. I'm sure there's all sorts of different kinds of dancing. In the early 2000s, I, was involved in belly dancing. I
Mm,
did belly dance, and I loved it. I lived in Central Florida, and I found, it was just lessons being taken, lessons being offered, and I took them, and I became part of this group. Now, I
mm,
didn't become great, but I loved it. I loved it. I still have all my belly dancing costumes, and we
mhm.
just did a lot of performances, and it was so fun, and it was so out of anything that I had done before. I was raising children and in between careers and whatnot, but it really did, enliven me, and not everybody has something that like that in their community, but I do recommend people stepping into to dance, and I'm just interested in what would you say to somebody who's not sure, but maybe thinking about it.
Yes. Well, how wonderful that you experienced belly dancing and really gave yourself to the form. It's such a beautiful way for women to feel sensual, to feel feminine, and to accept themselves as they are. I love that.
Yes.
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 So my what I would say is a few things. One is a very simple practice of sensing the ground with your feet when you're sitting. Like right now, if people are sitting, listening to us, watching us, come alive with come alive to the experience of the earth through the soles of your feet, and try to remember this connection as you walk with the sensation of the earth in your feet, and maybe even start to caress the earth or kiss the earth with your stepping. And also when you're standing, become aware. So start this kind of a love affair with the earth through your feet, and just see what that brings, how that makes you feel. And another suggestion that I have is to put on the music that you like, music that when you hear it, you can't sit still, and just experiment, just move and see how you feel. Chances are, whatever you were feeling, if you were feeling a little nervous or had tension or had sadness, it will shift very quickly into a different kind of state, maybe a more blissful state, maybe a joyous state. But see what dance can give you. I feel like most of us will feel quite different after we dance and during dancing. It's one of the most joyous states that we can access. And it's just so accessible.
Agree. Yeah.
It's just right there. You just put on the music and go for it.
Yes. Yes. We need more dance in the world. I just love that.
We do. And then also another suggestion is go to dance gatherings, because dancing by yourself is wonderful. It's great. The moment you dance with others, something else starts to happen. And this incredible synergy arises where you're just connecting with people just through this joy, of being alive. You don't need to speak. You don't need to know who they are, but you're just connecting through the joy.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you're mentioning that this is an avenue to express joy. I do think that that is a fear of people, or culturally, we have so many things that keep us from experiencing joy, or it's obviously a choice. Joy is within us, and we can express it and experience it anytime we want, I think. But this kind of unfettered joy, we're we've just been conditioned, I think, to be in these little boxes, and then it doesn't help that all of the media around us keeps us distracted. And I'm sure in your dance classes, you must have people check their cell phones at the door.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Take a
Because
break.
this is even if you're just talking about just get your feet on the ground. Okay, people get their feet on the ground, but where's their head, Our heads are in our inboxes or, what's on Netflix or whatever, So we really have a lot of conditioning to release all of those distractions and addictions to come back to a place where even when we place our feet on the ground, that we have the attention to feel it versus not even being able to be with it.
But that's the idea isn't just to sense the ground in a vacant way. The moment you start to do that, all of your attention starts to shift. You begin to appreciate the descent of energy, not just the ascent. And
Yeah.
it's the gateway. It's the gateway. It's my suggestion isn't sense the ground and then be vacant. Actually, they don't go together. The moment you start to really sense, everything sort of becomes a little bit little differently organized. Things start to shift. You're not just all up anymore. The energy is being directed downward, and that's where it begins.
Yeah. So how do you spend your day?
When I wake up in the morning, I don't. My phone is still on airplane mode. I don't turn on any email, any social media. After I take my drink of water, I meditate and I do some stretching. Then I have breakfast. I live in the mountains, as I said. I don't actually live in Los Angeles. I live in Topanga, which is a very different community. No judgment on Los Angeles. I'm very blessed to be in this area, but I live in a more of an eco village type place. It's in the mountains. It's just nature. So I am blessed to be able to have my breakfast outside in overlooking mountains and in beautiful trees and listening to birds. And then after all that, and I've showered before that, then I turn on the not social media, but that's when I turn on emails. These days, I'm looking a lot at the news from Iran, so I look at that all the time. Not because my belief is not to turn away from what is happening in the world, but to develop the capacity within ourselves to be able to meet it without letting it overwhelm us, so we can be people that are contributing to the betterment of the world, knowing what is happening, not by
Mhm,
turning
mhm.
away from it. Then I do all the work that I have to do these days. There's a lot of work because my book is coming out on March 10th. So lots of things that I have to do, including beautiful conversations with beautiful people like yourself. And then I do my practice, which is about an hour and a half to 2 hours, dance practice. And, then different things, lunch, dinner, all that.
Well, that's kind of shows your spiritual practice. I completely agree with you that for us to be effective on this planet, that we don't turn away from the ills of the world. I know many people who do that. I know many people who think we only have to focus on the positive, only think positive thoughts, only think the good, and only envision what's possible. And I think that's all wonderful. But this avoidance of the ills and the distresses of humans and animals and children and nations like Iran, it we if we cut ourselves off of that, then we're like in a la la land. We're spiritually ungrounded. We're like floating or something, and we may think that all of this is good for consciousness, but it's to me it's very important to look squarely at reality and to open yourself as much as possible to see what's there. And that's why my prayers is my regular prayer is show me what I cannot yet see, because there is more that I cannot see. I usually I'm shown something that I hadn't been shown before. Now you don't really need it. Everything's there's so much out there with the Epstein files and the which is horrible, and just digging into that. I've known a lot about that because of people that I have interviewed in the past who were, victims not of Epstein, but that same kind of, um, satanic kind of, sex ring stuff. So I do have a sense of how the world has been, but we need to be fully grounded in reality. And I think when I asked you to describe your day, I think you described how we can be. If we're in practice to just to stay connected with ourselves, with the divine, meditation, dance, prayer, whatever it is, then the capacity for being able to, with an open heart, take in the realities of the world, that capacity gets larger. And it is important for us to hold, I think, the tragedies and the illnesses, the sadness, the destruction of the planet, in our hearts, as we're able to be agents of change.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And but it's very important to have the practice to be able to build that capacity, so that you're not overwhelmed, because then we're of very little use that way. When we are
Mhm,
very overwhelmed, when we are suffering too much along with the suffering, we're just making more suffering. But
mhm, mhm,
building the capacity through meditation, through dance, through being in nature, to connect with the divine, and understand that you're giving it to the divine to show you how to proceed, how to meet these challenges from the place of creating more love in the world, creating more harmony in the world. But it's important to have the practices. And to the people who say, oh, just be in the positive, I would say that that again is sort of saying that, oh, people don't have the capacity to meet challenges. Well, we do. We do. The human being is a very powerful being, a very powerful creation of the divine. And we can, but we just need to be able to have those practices to connect with something greater and be in touch with
mhm.
that something greater as we go through these trials and challenges.
What is your hope? Do you have hope? It sounds like you have hope. What is your hope for the world and for maybe even, Iran in particular?
I'll start with my hope for Iran, and I'll say why. My hope is that we free ourselves from this regime, that has put a veil of contraction and darkness and evil over this incredible ancient civilization, which is one of the oldest in the world, and also a very powerful portal. Many people speak about when Iran is freed from this darkness. And I have to say that Iran and as well as Afghanistan are probably the two of the darkest places on our planet these days. And I don't have a bias against dark at all. I feel dark and light are, partners, yin yang. I mean, evil, really. Let's just say it like it is in my mind. So it's these places where Islam is very radical and oppressing the people. With the opening, when we free ourselves from this regime that has thrown the veil over this incredible ancient civilization, then this will ripple and reverberate in the whole world and free so much potential on our planet, so much potential in the human being. The gifts of the Iranian civilization are endless. One of them being Rumi. You mentioned you love Rumi so much. Rumi represents the Iranian culture. It's not Islamic, it's much older. Cyrus the Great was the first human being to have a proclamation of human rights over 2,500 years ago. So these gifts of this civilization, this incredible dignity and living love coming through the Sufi path, which is also based in Iranian culture, so many gifts will be then open to the world. And these cannot happen when people live under such incredible violence and oppression. So once that freedom uh, flowers, it'll be like a fountain of gifts and amazing harmony in the whole world. So many people, not Iranians even, have mentioned that this is a huge turning point for humanity, the freeing of this civilization. And I feel like if the whole world demands that this regime step down, even though they're stubborn, even though they want to take down everyone with them, there is a way. There is a way if we all come together and demand it from the human rights point of view, because they have basically undermined all basic human rights.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it's tragic. And you said 30,000 people under 30?
Upward of 36,000. And we don't have the exact numbers because the regime is trying to suppress those numbers.
Yeah, and they did a blackout, right? Like a media blackout, so we really can't see.
10 days of complete blackout and now limited internet access so that these videos come in very late, and bodies of the slain heroes, they have not given them to their families. They demand money. They demand money for the bullets. I mean, it's what they're doing is unprecedented, not only in the history of Iran, but the history of the world, modern history. This level of brutality and murder. Pregnant women were
Okay.
shot. You can see
Yeah.
women,
Oh,
pregnant
yeah.
women in a body bag. Who does that?
Yeah, who does that? I mean, that's so, it's so tragic. It's so, like, inhuman. Uh, and, you know, God bless those people for allowing their human spirit to, like, "We're going to express this, like, we're going to express this." And then they're put down for just expressing their human and divine spirit,
Yeah.
which is really our birthright, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. And they're not asking for anything extravagant. They just want basic human rights, just the basic dignity observed. And just to be free to live how they want.
Yeah, to move and
Yeah.
have my being and
And doing this,
dance if I want, sing if I
protesting
want. Yeah,
peacefully, unarmed,
yeah,
and the regime
yeah,
forces opened fire on them as if they're in a war.
yeah. Uh, well, I think the vision of a free a free Iran, uh, being like a floodgate for the rest of the world is really profound, and I can really see that. I can really see that. That makes a lot of sense to me because, Iran has such, this deep, long, long history and is so interconnected with everything in the Middle East. I can see that. I can see this ripple effect being massive, and there's so much going on right now, in the world. We're in this really disruptive, massive transformation, I think, and this is really kind of a pivotal place and a pivotal opportunity here. So my prayers are certainly for the freedom of Iran and the unleashing of the truth of people's essence into the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And, we're interconnected. This one
Yeah,
planet, one human family.
yeah.
So when one side of this incredible family is under so much duress and complete injustice, it affects us. We cannot
Mm,
truly live
we
in
cannot all be free
we cannot.
until we're all
Exactly.
free. Yeah,
Exactly. We cannot be free until
yeah,
we're all free because
yeah.
all is one.
Oh, okay. Well, I wanna give you an opportunity to share about your book. You said it's coming out March 10th?
Yes. So
That's right around the corner.
it is right around the corner. My book is called Dance of Oneness, Embody Love and Luminosity to Transform Your Life. It's a book that is really poses the simple question, simple yet profound question. Why dance? What are the gifts of dance and how it can evolve us into a greater version of ourselves, into stepping into being a divine human. So in this book, I have basically a roadmap to embodiment. I feel like dance is one of the most accessible ways to embody ourselves more fully. So I delve into that and give a full map of how to embody ourselves more fully. I have practices in the book that are accompanied by video and audio components that people can access through a QR code. They will have access to these practices forever. There's only so much you can do with the written word about dance. You need to also see it and hear it. I have an audiobook version that I like very much actually to listen. Is much more. It goes deeper somehow than just reading. And because when I teach, there's such a synergy of sound and movement. I feel the audiobook is a really nice way to go. Uh, I also share a little bit about my life story about how this form Dance of Oneness came about. This modality functions in three dimensions. It's like a bringing together of three interrelated streams of dance and movement technique, healing, drawing from my own background in acupuncture and herbs. I'm a Chinese medicine practitioner as well, and the chakra system and different energy medicine modalities. So that's the second dimension. And then the third dimension is wisdom teachings, drawing from the Sufi and the Taoist and the divine feminine traditions. Bringing these three together, I feel gives a very well-rounded experience to embodiment.
Well, it sounds fabulous. I love the idea of a QR code that can bring up some video.
Yes.
That makes a lot
especially
of sense.
especially the whirling, because I feel like it's the first time that the practice of whirling is being shown step by step in book format. And that is obviously accompanied by video and audio.
Do you have any, sorry, I need a little water there. Do you have any tips for people like me who get very, very dizzy? And I mean, I remember even, the belly dancing, the little bit of whirling. I used to be fine. Postmenopausal, I have issues with with going in circles. Is there any help for me?
That it's again going back to sensing the ground with your feet. Everything sort of goes back to that, really sensing, directing energy downward. Because dizziness comes from energy moving too quickly to our head. So when you stay grounded, when you sense the ground with your feet, then you're creating a more even distribution of energy. You're letting it stay down and sort of rise gradually and remain distributed evenly.
Okay, so it's not visual.
No, in when you turn, when you do dance turns, you spot, you look at a spot
Mhm.
and you try to look at it again, and that propels your turn. In the whirling, you're spinning, you're looking at everything and nothing. So everything just becomes a blur. You can focus on light coming out from your heart or coming out from your third eye. And that kind of grounds some people too, where the focus remains internal. We don't spot when we whirl because your focus is inside. And when you're spotting, you're let something outside.
Okay. Very interesting. Very helpful.
Well, it's a
Okay, thank
meditative
you.
practice. So you want to enter in.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. Well, Banafsheh, do you have anything else that you would like to share with us before we close? Anything that any words of wisdom or anything that we may not have covered?
Well, I think we covered a lot. The only thing I want to say to your listeners, viewers, is to remember that your body is sacred, that everything that you are experiencing, have experienced, and will experience will be through this vessel. So even those incredible, spiritually transcendent, so to speak, experiences is through this body. So honor your body. Remember that it's a gift, this incredible body that no human being can create. I mean, we've tried to create robots and all of that, but we cannot create this human body. So it's a gift. Honor this gift and remember that your body and soul are one. And the more we come into this experience, the more we contribute to the world we really want to see, where people are living in harmony and love and contributing gracefully to the greater cosmos.
Beautifully said. Wonderful. Your book will be coming out, let me put it this way, this podcast will be coming out either right before your book comes out or right after your book comes out. So I hope we can give a boost to your sales. It is very exciting. And I do think it is part of our evolution to come back to that grounding within the body. We've gone so far away from the body and our connection with the earth. And we can only, snap back and or come back in some way. And so I think this is really, really timely. I'm excited about your work.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I think that our survival depends on that, what you're saying, snapping back, that return. Because as you can see, the devastation of nature is just, some people say beyond repair, but I feel it isn't beyond repair. Once we return to ourselves, to the sacred heart, to this union of body and soul, and live from that place, where we cannot but honor the earth and remember her glory and her being as sacred. This is how we will bring back the sacredness of life, into our psyches. And absolutely, I think we can repair what has been damaged.
Yeah, I agree. And the way we treat people, the way we treat animals, everything is kind of like an object. It is an expression, I think, of our disembodiment.
Yes.
So
all
this
of it.
is critical. It's critical for our evolution as human beings. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your history and your hope for the world. It was just really wonderful being with you today.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, thank you for being with us, and I now close the Spiritual Forum. Thanks for listening. If you like what you've heard here, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, or a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. You can also sign up for my weekly newsletter or make a donation to support this work at thespiritualforum.org. Tune in every week, and remember, you are a divine creation, perfect and whole, just as you are.